Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Thursday Build Show. I'm your host, Ben Estrino, and today we're going to be building a awesome PC over here at the Empower Gaming Computers studio. This PC specifically built for somebody over in Canada. So it's going to be on its way to Canada here very shortly. Brenden, it's time. We are building your PC. I know we're a little bit behind schedule. Like I was kind of talking about in yesterday's stream, there's been... PC builds come in blocks. I never understood this or why, but you can go a week without an order, and then suddenly the next week, the following week, you'll have 20 plus orders all of a sudden, just randomly. Here you go. Here's 20 orders. And you really can't staff people to cover the time where there's no orders, because it costs money to staff people. So the influx of orders, which has just been the nature of the business, has been difficult to combat. So I apologize, but I am behind on the orders right now, and I am trying to catch up. So with this being said, we are currently 1 day behind of when this build was supposed to be sent out. So I apologize about that, Brenden. It is nothing else other than suddenly we had an influx of orders and it's thrown me behind schedule. So I am going to build this and get this shipped out to you as soon as I possibly can. And I know you're super excited for this build. So I'm super excited to build it for you and get it to you and see what your reaction is. So, all right, going forward, let's talk about the build. If you guys are familiar with the website at all, this is the Enforcer on the website. So if you order a PC from us, a pre-build option, the Enforcer is this PC that you could purchase from the website directly. This has a Intel i5 3600K, which, if you don't know what the 3600K is, it's actually a almost a 12700K processor. It's almost got the same core count and threads as a 12700K. So it's got 14 cores and 20 threads. Those are split between, the cores are split between performance and efficiency, but total of 14 cores, 20 threads, and a 5.1 gigahertz max turbo on the CPU. So it's a great processor. It's even great for multitasking, but yet still a little bit cheaper than the 13700K. A lot a bit cheaper. But all around, it's a great processor for gaming, streaming. You could stream on it and game on the same system with this processor. Very similar to, like I was saying, the 12700K. And then the Thermalbright LGA 1700 contact frame. We use these for any LGA 1700 build we really do. There's only, I think, a couple of select systems that we don't use these on, and that's really because it's an i3 and it's a really budgety system. So that's really the only time we don't use them. Other than that, we've always used the Thermalbright LGA 1700 contact frame for the LGA 1700 socket. All right, so next we have a MSI Mag Z790 Tomahawk motherboard. This is a great board. It's got all of your fancy features on a Z790 or higher end 700 series chipset that you're kind of going to be expecting. And it's got plenty of M.2 slots. I think a total of 4 on this board. So if you ever go to add more storage to the system, you have plenty of M.2 options to add additional storage before you have to use any type of SATA. Additionally, this board has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth built into it, which is a plus. A lot of people buy PCs, and generally if it's their first PC, they'll buy a PC expecting, or coming from the console world where it has Wi-Fi built in, and they're expecting Wi-Fi or Bluetooth to already be on the system, but that's not always the case with every custom gaming PC or every gaming PC there is. Now, there are solutions after you buy a PC and you find out it doesn't have Wi-Fi, to purchase either USB or a PCIe expansion card, but I generally like to have all of our PCs with Wi-Fi built into them to kind of simplify the process. So this has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and I just like calling it out for newcomers. Just simple knowledge you should know. Next up, we have 32 gigabytes of DDR5, 6000 megahertz. And this is the Trident Z5 RGB series, and this is CL32. Good timing on RAM. So if Brenden ever wanted to take and get this system, this is actually CL30 that we purchased, even though it's listed as 32, so it's even better RAM than what it was originally quoted on the build out. So we've got you better RAM than what we originally said we were going to put in the system right off the bat. But it's a great kit. So if you ever wanted to tune the system, Brenden, you could definitely tune it very nicely with this kit of RAM. It's very important that you get a kit of RAM that has tighter timings so that you can actually tune the system better or more successfully or further than you would with maybe a cheaper set of RAM. So, hey, thanks Adam. Thanks Adam over on Facebook for that like. Thank you, sir. But the RAM timing is very important, especially when you get into a bigger CPU. It just allows better tuning. So if you ever got the PC tuned, which I know a guy, Chamber Tech, if you ever want to get it tuned, he could do it remotely and get it tuned up for you. And more than what we do, which is all the basic stuff that you would expect out of a gaming PC when you first purchase it. We don't do any overclocking here directly, but we do work with Chamber Tech, who has a lot more knowledge around the overclocking. We just want to make sure we deliver a stable PC out of the box so that it's stock settings, good to go, and then any overclocking is done through a different service or another company or person, or you, for example. And we don't frown upon it. It's just we want to make sure we deliver a stable product. And overclocking just takes a lot of time and knowledge, and it's just a whole nother can of knowledge that we aren't really interested in getting into right now. Anyway, I personally overclock my PC, and I have a lot of experience doing it. I just don't want to do it for the simple fact that I want to deliver a stable product, and when you do overclocks, it could introduce random blue screens and things that we may not be able to catch before we ship the device out. So, overclocking is very possible on the system. That's the end result of that conversation right there, especially with the RAM timing that we got for your kit. Next up, we have a 2TB M.2 NVMe SSD, which is the Samsung 980 Pro. So it's a great Gen 4 SSD, super fast speeds on it. The read and writes are super fast. It's TLC and it's 2 terabytes. So you'll have plenty of storage to jump in and install as many, or not as many, but a bunch of games anyway, especially with today's games being so high in storage requirement or using up so much storage. Next up, we have the RTX 4070 going into this build today. The 4070 features, I believe it's P12. 12 gigabytes, and this is the factory OC, and it's the GDDR6X RAM on the 4070, which is where it's introduced on the 4000 series. So this is the MSI Ventus 3X, which means it has 3 fans on the cooler, which is great. It's a longer card, bigger cooler, helps cool the card better than your standard 2 fan. And it also is factory overclocked by MSI. So it's going to come out of the box faster than your standard RTX 4070, which is great. So a little bit of more performance there. And then also to power the entire system, we're going to be using a MSI MPG 850G, which is a great power supply because this power supply has the ATX 3.0 and PCIe 5.0 ready components built into it. So if Brenden wanted to go and upgrade to a 4070 Ti, which is going to require the 600 watt connection, 16 pin 600 watt cable, the power supply has the direct cable from the power supply to the graphics card. So it's very important for us when we're building our systems that we make sure it's as future-proof as possible. which with this power supply, it's going to be super future-proof. So it'll be able to upgrade, I'd say, to a 4070 Ti is probably its limit on the power supply itself. But if you went to 1,000 watt, you could definitely do a 4080 or 4090. The wattage would be the limitation there at that point. But you could go up to a 4070 Ti on this power supply, no problem. Maybe a 4080, depending on what you're going to be using it for, would be kind of the limit. But it has the PCIe 5.0 cable directly from the power supply to the graphics card, which is what we like compared to using the adapter, which adapts from the 16-pin to the 8-pin PCIe connection. This is not something we want to see, or what we really do here. So that power supply is great. We're going to be cooling the CPU with a Deep Cool LS720 liquid LT720 liquid cooler. The LT is actually better than the LS. It has a little bit more performance on the pump, and we did replace the fans in this setup with the Deep Cool FC120 fans. So these guys right here, great fans. So these are going to go on the cooler, as well as some white sleeved cable extensions. So without further ado, does anybody have any questions on the build? We can go and get started with this build. I'm going to give you guys the top-down view. And we could go ahead and get started. I'm going to make sure Brennan got the email. Let me give him a call real quick, just to make sure he knows that we're building it. Because I never got a response from him in the email chain. Just to make sure he knows that we're live. right, let's go ahead and get started with the build. I did get a hold of him, and he is currently doing his stuff, so we're just going to go ahead and get started, and he'll jump in when he jumps in. I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so first things first, we're going to want to get the CPU installed here, so that it covers the pins. We're going to go ahead and start by opening that up and opening our CPU up and dropping that into the socket. There's our Intel i5 3600K, 14 threads, or no, 14 cores, 20 threads. And 5 gigahertz max boost on this thing. So we're not going to close this up because we are going to use the thermal rate contact. Let's go ahead and open this bad boy up and get that started. What we're going to do is remove these brackets here. Which is just done by moving the 4 screws here. 2 screw bracket. And this is your stock LGA 1700 frame. Comes on every motherboard. But we get a little bit better cooling performance if we use the contact frame. One from mostly available from Thermalright and Thermal Grizzly. Thermal Grizzlies is a little bit more expensive. The machining is a little bit costs a little bit more, which is why it costs a little bit more for us. But the Thermalright, barely a difference in performance. Tested. Wanted to see a video about that. Gamers Nexus actually did a really good video. Difference between the Thermalright, Thermal Grizzly. I just wanted to line the threads up here before I start tightening it. There we go. We got our CPU installed into the socket, so it's nice and safe. And then we have our Thermalright contact frame on there, which is going to help with the performance. It helps with contact to the cooler, the block on the cooler. So usually we have a copper block that goes on top of the cooler, then cooled by whatever source that we're using to cool. And this makes it so that the CPU makes better contact to that copper block, and the better the contact, the better the cooling. That is why we use them. Alright, next up we're going to be doing the RAM and the SSD. We can stay zoomed in here for the RAM, and then we'll scoot it over and do the SSD. And again, originally we were going to do, originally this system would come with CL32 on this kit, but we did get CL30, so better timing on the RAM for you. And better timing means better tuning. And I only kind of put it on an angle like that, so I'm making sure I'm lining it up because it's cold and my eyes are kind of failing on me. So I just need to see and make sure it's lined up before I slot it in. All you youngsters doing that. Okay. Next up, we have the 2TB M.2 NVMe, which is a Samsung 980 Pro. Beautiful SSD, and beautiful packaging. I think you pay probably an extra $5 or $10 for the packaging, but I've never had one show up busted, so can't complain too much. Alright, we're going to put it in the top slot, the 01 here for the M.2. So it just slots in on an angle like this, and then we'll position the M.2 block like so, and then we'll peel our thermal pad protector off. We'll line up the M.2 heat spreader again. There we go. The M.2 SSD is installed. Hey Brenden, how's it going, man? Welcome to the build stream. Okay, so now that the motherboard is pretty much ready to go into the case, the last thing that we need to do, the last thing we need to do is get the mounting hardware for the cooler out of its box, and I'm going to put it on the motherboard now, rather than waiting for it to be in the case and then trying to do it while it's in the case. Just makes it a little easier. So I know originally we said the LS720 is going to be on this build, but inventory didn't allow it, so we did upgrade to the LT, which is a little bit better of a cooler, and we are going to replace these fans with RGB fans. So don't worry about those fans, and the cooler performance is actually better than the LS. But it's the same brand, same style. I guess the block is a little bit different, but this one actually is probably cooler. And I don't think anybody was stuck on that block. We're not going to be using these fans. With these ones by Deepcool. Still a Deepcool product as well. So it's going to match the theme. So what we're after is the actual mounting hardware for the cooler. So this guy. We're going to push the pins out to LGA 1700. We need that. That's an AMD mounting kit. Don't need that. We'll need that. And we'll need these later. Make sure the logo is facing up the right way. And we have our 1700 little stud spacers. I don't know what you want to call them. There we go. Now the board is ready to go in the case. I'll set this aside and we'll get the case out. I've never built or owned a PC, so I'll be learning quite a bit today. Well, you're learning from the right place. You only do things the right way. That's why it takes us longer. Whew. Ouch. Gave me some static electricity. So this is the Leon Lee Landcool 216. It features a very nice tempered glass side panel and a front mesh. So the front of the PC is all mesh here, and it's actually very simple to maintain and keep it clean. Very easy to actually remove this front panel and clean this without having to really take apart anything. And this is where the majority of your dust is going to build up, is on this front panel. Additionally, what's cool about this case is that it has ventilation on the bottom here, which I'm starting to see more and more case manufacturers do this ventilation on the side here, which is cool to see. I've even seen Deepcool take the ventilation up to about here, which allows the graphics card to breathe a little better, which is nice, especially if it's in vertical. So I know the dimensions of the case. Yes, I can. Off the top of my head, I don't, but I can look them up for you right now. Takes 2 seconds. I know it's on the large side, but it's not as large as it looks. Alright, so according to Lian Li, the dimensions are depth being 480.9 millimeters by width, which is 235 millimeters by height, which is 491.7 millimeters. And they only provide in millimeter. I'm not smart enough to translate millimeters to inches on the fly like that. I would actually have to look up the metric, the conversion, because I don't remember. I used to know these types of things back when I was in doing more stuff with Teams Room Systems, because everything was metric. Hey, thanks for the follow. That's fine, you're in Canada. Well, yeah, I guess everything's over there. That's right. I always forget that. You guys measure miles in kilometers, and inches is meters. Or feet is meters. Foot. I always forget that, and I've been to Canada, I don't know, millions of times. All right, there we go. So we've got the case kind of broken down here, which is what we need to get started with dropping the motherboard in there. Want that. Alright, so the motherboard does have its I/O shield on the back here, so we don't have to add one. We're going to confirm all our studs are in place, which we already know in this case. The studs should all be there. So, all we got to do is get this board lined up. Start mounting it. Here we go. Nice tight fit. And then we'll get the mounting hardware, which is included with your case. The case hardware. And start screwing this in. Securing it to the motherboard. Or securing the motherboard to the case. No, I have not been drinking. I don't drink and build. I've actually never drink and build. Hey Jeff. Thanks for the follow, sir. Over on the Twitch. We got plenty more builds to do this week. In fact, we might have a guest during one of the builds, which is actually the person we're building for. He wants to kind of watch how we're doing it live in person. But he might be here for the build. We just got to nail down a time because I think all of the parts are here. So that would be a cool one. I might even make him do some of the work. What games are you going to be playing on this? Brendan? What are you planning on playing? Are you coming from console already? I think you mentioned that before. You're exactly what you were doing on it, but unfortunately I'm getting old and my memory gets really bad. Oh yeah. No, I remember that. We did talk about that on the phone. Apex. But I get old, or as I get older, I find that the more and more people I talk to, the more and more difficult it is to remember conversations. Yeah, I've got a 10-year-old Xbox. Hey, so do I. Except the only people that use it here are my daughters and my wife. I don't think I've used it in the last, like, 10 years. It's dying fast. Well, let's hope we get this over to you before it dies. Then you can keep playing. But Apex is a great game. I'm a big fan of that game. I'm also a big fan of PUBG. He runs a consistent 28 frames per second, hoping this makes him better. Well, if I'm assuming you're probably a squad member for him. Hopefully, you know, once he gets his PC, the performance is going to be the problem. So if he complains like about FPS or lag, maybe it's internet. I don't know. Sadly, I'm sorry. I apologize in advance. But if he gets this PC and he still complains about performance, I don't know if I could, if I was a squad member. You see where I'm going with this? Obviously, the hardware wouldn't be the problem. It's okay. You're helping me big time. The friends. I'm joking. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry. I'm terrible at games. So you can roast me all day. All right. So we've got the board mounted. Now we're going to flip this over and get our cables, start getting our cables ran from the case to the motherboard, which we have USB-C, USB 3, and there's system fan 2 and RGB down there. Okay, and we know where everything is. Look at how clean, but just take a moment and look at how clean Leon Lee sends their stuff. They are a top-notch case brand manufacturer for cases, and there's a reason. They are top-notch. Perfect cable management. It's so easy to work with their cases. Just appreciate it. But yeah, lately for Battle Royales, I've been playing PUBG again. Haven't played much of Apex lately, but isn't there some new stuff coming out for Apex soon? Maybe it already. Maybe it's another title that I'm thinking about. I actually just built a very serious Apex player. Plays at a very competitive level. Fortunately, we've been having nothing but problems with his PC, and he's all the way down in Texas. But right now, I've got his PC over at a local shop over there. That, you know, I'm paying for the repairs and all that, but trying to figure out what the deal is with the PC. When it left here, it was perfect. The package did get damaged by UPS pretty badly. So we're dealing with that too. But unfortunately, it was not the greatest experience so far with that PC. It's the only one that I have out there right now with a problem. So I'm like hyper-focused on it. Okay. So right now what I'm doing is I'm plugging in our HD audio, front panel HD audio, our front panel power button, and our addressable RGB to our hub, which is going to be RGB for the front fans, and anything else that's plugged into the hub. And then I'm also getting the front fans and the rear fans plugged in right now. Alright, there we go. Hey, what's up, Trey? What's going on? Hey, Gaming Mode. Thanks for the follow, sir. Welcome to the build show, everybody. It's a Thursday build show, if you haven't noticed. But we've got our USB-C, our USB 3, front panel power, and our fans plugged in, so we're pretty much ready to get the radiator installed. Except, I do want to get the EPS cable connections here for the CPU power that's up in this corner installed before we put a radiator up here and block our way. Because then it would be kind of like Gandalf in Lord of the Rings. The way is shut. Or maybe that was Gimli. No, that was Gandalf. My memory is failing me, guys. Wait, what day is it? Brendan's gonna think I'm gonna build his PC upside down now. Maybe I should. Maybe it should be a challenge. Can I build a PC while I'm upside down? Looking for that box. What motherboard is this? This is the Tomahawk by MSI, and it's the Z790 chipset. So it's a beastly 700 series Z790 MSI Tomahawk motherboard, which has plenty of M.2s. There's 3 additional M.2s outside of the one that we use, so you can definitely add more storage to the PC later if you want. And then we've got G.Skill, 32 gigs of DDR5. 6,000 megahertz at CL30, so it's great timing on the RAM. And then the CPU is an i5 13600K, which has 14 threads, or 14 cores and 20 threads, and a max turbo of 5 gigahertz. It's pretty much a i7 12700K, except slightly less on the cores. I think there's two cores less, or it's actually really close to an i9 12900K. Very close. About the same performance as the 12700K, close to the i9 12900K. Very close. Yeah. I'd have to double check that, but that's what now I'm mixing my shit up, so forget it. Anyway, it's a 13600K. Great processor, and we're going to be cooling it with a deep cool cooler, which is a liquid AIO, 360 millimeters mounted at the top. And then we have a Ventus 3X RTX 4070 by MSI. Overall, super powerful build. Okay, so our EPS cables that we're going to get installed here before we put the cooler in are these white sleeve cables that we're going to do, because we are looking to get as much aesthetics as possible in here. And I forgot we have a GPU bracket that we have to put in too. Shoot. Whoops. Okay. These are cable combs that I'm going to be putting on the cables to make it even cooler. I just switched from AM4 to AM5 so much. Yeah, there's a lot of headache there, especially with DDR5. If you know what you're doing with DDR5, you should be all right. But the rule is with DDR5, only run 2 sticks, 2 DIMMs. Do not run 4. And your max limit on DDR5 is 96 gigabytes. Don't go more than 96. And there's actually specific kits out there that are out there for that exact purpose, which is to maximize your DDR5 RAM amount, which equals 96 gigabytes. So yeah, definitely don't run 4 sticks. Also, very important with DDR5 is to make sure your motherboard supports the kit that you're looking at or looking to purchase, or make sure you look at the list of supported RAM before you buy your RAM, and then buy a kit that's supported by your motherboard, tested and verified. Then also, you know, AMD had that thing with some of their flagship CPU where it was melting sockets, which wasn't as big of a deal as everybody said it was, but and I think it was mostly an Asus problem. But anyway, it's that's all been resolved with BIOS updates. So if you haven't updated your BIOS, make sure you do that. Also, if you have a Samsung 980 Pro, make sure you update the 980 Pro's firmware. There was a bug that was burning out the drives faster than their life, expected life. And the firmware solves that problem too for the SSD. Make sure you update that if you have that. Now I run 16 gig on dual channel. 16 gigs on an AM5. I didn't even know you could get 8 gig DIMMs. Pretty much all of DDR5, at least that I'm aware of, from what I've seen, and it might be just because that's what I work with, is 16 gigs each and 32 gig kits. So, would be interested to know exactly what kit you have at 8 gigs. Alright, so now that we have that done, taken care of, we can go ahead and slide this over. And we'll get these fans installed on the cooler. Hey, thanks for the sub, sir. Thank you, Gaming Mode 90. Appreciate you, sir. So you're aware, all of our revenue that we get from the stream goes to a $1 PC giveaway. So all of our subs, all of our bits, all of that stuff goes to a PC build that will will take all the profits, put it in a jar, basically. And then once we have enough money to build a PC, we'll build the PC and then we'll give it away to our followers. Whole thing we haven't done a $1 PC giveaway since last year. A little light. Also, we usually give away PCs during Christmas time, too. Another thing we do. So clean. Right, so now that we've got the fans installed onto the radiator, go ahead and get this radiator installed. Oh. Yes, take this whole tray out, do the radiator install outside of the case, but I'm doing a shortcut thing, so I don't have to do the extra couple minutes of work. I'm putting it in this way. I'm going to get 2 screws started here, and then I won't have to hold on to it as tight. That's true. You bought a bundle here in Europe at $487 US, MSI B650 Gaming Plus Wi-Fi, Ryzen 5 7600, and 16 gigabytes at 5600. Ah, gotcha. Are you sure that's not a 16 gig? That's just a single kit, or a single stick, right? Or did they actually sell you 2 8 gig sticks? That's where I'm lost. I've not seen that before. NHD D15 cooler, okay. Good cooler. Yeah, I think something like that, that bundle would have been more like 400-ish. So you didn't, you know, severely overpay or anything. And I know it's going to be different in Europe. No, it's two sticks 8 gig. Oh man, I'm very interested about that. Very interested. Alright, so we've got our KO ready to go in. Or we've got the radiator in, but now we're ready to install the actual block onto the CPU. So we need to put our brackets on here for the Intel socket. So, going to probably that and that. Oh. Got plastic up first. Cool tidbit on the Deep Cool LT720. This is magnetic here, so it holds your bracket in place so you can install it. Ah, no, that's not white. Oh no, what do you mean? What's not white? What's not white? Actually, it was reduced from $600 US. I live in Denmark, and prices are quite high. Ah, gotcha. Yeah. I know they're a little higher over there. Europe. The bracket. Oh, it's okay. The brackets don't need to be white. You'll barely even notice them. They're actually a silver color. So I do. We're not going to be using that. And I just got thermal paste on my finger. Not mean to do that. We're going to drop some of our thermal paste on there. Then we are ready to mount this cooler, which we have cleaned off the block, and there's nothing obstructing contact. And we're going to pull this block off. Oh my gosh, I broke it! No, I didn't. That comes off. It's also a problem in shipping for that cooler. It likes to bounce out, so I'll have lots of foam on it. Ah! Downside to it being magnetic. When you drop the nut down there, nobody say anything about that comment. It is immediately attracted to the cooler. Alright. Using it on an i5. Still using my NZXT Kraken X. Hold on. Still using your NZXT Kraken X62 from 2017. Yeah, it's still a good cooler. Although I would keep an eye on it. AIO's liquid will start evaporating. So just keep an eye on it. Make sure your temps are good. Using it on an i5 13600K. Had so many issues regarding booting at a point that I wanted to send it all back. Yes, that is 100% DDR5 problems. That is not the CPU. That is not the motherboard. That is straight up DDR5 problems. Took 3 minutes and then freezes in Windows and stutters, but I closed my PC yesterday and it made Windows update and started running great. But after a fresh install, Windows and runs great now, and temps are in gaming stress test peaks over 85. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'd be a little worried about the temps. They're a little warm, not terrible, but I mean, if it's a stress test while you're gaming, it's really never going to be reaching that same stress while you're gaming. But anyway, the DDR5 is likely the problem. I would try to do a BIOS update if you haven't already. This is for gaming mode 92. Regarding his DDR5, make sure you do a BIOS update for that motherboard. That'll also probably help with a ton of problems. And then also make sure you set your XMP, which is not XMP, your AMD Expo on the RAM. And that's done in your BIOS. I don't know what your RAM speed's currently running at, but if you're not running at your rated advertised speed RAM, then that would help. If you need help with the BIOS update, I can help you with that too. I can do it remotely, or at least walk you through it. Ow. Couple of zip ties here to get that cable nice and neat as we possibly can make it. Gotta run up towards the top there. Very nice. Starting to look like a gaming PC, huh? What do you guys think? In gaming, you saw your CPU temps around 70 Celsius. Very nice. Thank you. Thank you, Canada Man. Canada Man. Kendama. Mamba. Kendama Mamba. Did I say it right? Gaming mode, I think 85 to 70 is a little warm. So I would be questioning the 71, 73 Celsius in gaming. I'd be questioning your case, seeing is there enough airflow? And then I'd also take a look at that cooler. Maybe it's not, or maybe the paste isn't good. That's a little bit warm still. Even for, what are you playing at, 1440p? Yes, there's RGB up here at the top on these fans. This is RGB, the RAM's RGB, and the front fans are RGB. I don't think the graphics card has any RGB. No, the Ventus 3X doesn't. So no RGB on the graphics card. But there's going to be plenty of light. Very clean. Thank you. All right, so we can actually drop this 24-pin white sleeved cable into the case, throw it to the back, and get our cable combs on there. Then we could drop our graphics card in. Then we could drop our power supply in. Then we could fire it up and see what it looks like. You guys want to see what it looks like when it's done? With all of its RGB? I guess I could show you. I don't know. Maybe we should just make Brenden wait until he gets it. Can we just make Brenden wait? And then I could rebuild it into a black case, not white, send it to him. I'm just kidding. The only time I've ever messed up on a color is when they didn't tell me they wanted white versus black. And then they get it and they're like, oh, I thought it was going to be white. I'm like, oh, you selected black. The only time I got it wrong, and I still redid it for them. Last cable comb on the 24-pin cable here. I'm not just staring at my fingers. Promise. There we go. See these cable combs right here that we have to add these to the cables. And what that does is make it so that we can give it a nice firm position. While keeping the cables in uniform and clean, right? And get it plugged in here. There we go. More white. It's a closed case, and you have 5 fans, but only 1 on the cooler. Same temps I had also on my old Ryzen. You know what? If you can, gaming mode, take a picture of your fans in your case and send them to my email, which is support@empowergamingpcs.com. Let me send it. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. You can send it to support@empowergamingpcs.com. I'll take a look at the direction of the fans. I feel like you should have better cooling with 5 fans in a case, and that 7600 doesn't use a ton of power. So I really don't think it should be getting that hot. Something's not right. Oh shoot, I thought I selected black. I'm pretty sure, even though I'm old and my memory is, you know, failing me now, I'm pretty sure you and I even talked about going with a white PC. In fact, you said, I want this one, but white. I'm pretty sure that was set. All right, so we're pretty much ready to drop the graphics card in here. But before I do that, I do want to get this bracket installed, the support bracket for the graphics card, which I need to remove these two screws to do so. And I'm hoping there's enough clearance here on the motherboard to install this bracket. So I put it over there. But actually, I should go over there, towards the back of it. So this is more of a discrete graphics card support bracket that's going to be on the back of the motherboard and kind of supports the card. It doesn't support way out, but it does give the card a little bit of support. We'll make sure we put that in there. And then you don't have to install it when you get it. It'll be pre-installed. Make it simple. Also, my GPU runs hot. So it's definitely 3070 from Ti from EVGA. You're still rocking a 1080 Ti? Hats off to you, man. Still a good card. Nothing wrong with that. Probably gotta wait for the RTX 5000 series. I don't know if that's a good idea with all this AI stuff coming out. NVIDIA's kind of shifting over since the cryptocurrency boom is gone. They've started going more into the AI stuff. Means they're going to be spending their money there. All right. So next we just need to put the card in and sort out the height location of this bracket, and then I'll put that in. So what are your GPU temps? What are those running at? Said they're running hot, but what are they running at? All right, Brennan. For awareness, the graphics card will be shipped uninstalled. And the reason why is because this PCIe is what connects to the motherboard. And while it's shipped, the graphics card tends to wiggle back and forth. And it doesn't matter how much packaging you put on this thing or inside the PC. The graphics card weight and gravity fight it. Vibration fights it while it's in the truck or on a plane or wherever it may be, and it'll eventually damage this during transit, or it'll damage the slot on the motherboard. So the graphics card will be packaged inside the PC nice and neat with some foam in an anti-static bag, and you will be required to install the card. So pay attention to this process. And you can always come back and watch the video here, so you could clip it if you want. But this is how you install your card. You won't have to do this step other than remove the 2 screws. So I'm going to remove the 2 screws on the side here, which is what's going to secure the card in place. And then we'll make sure the clip is in the down position right there. And then our card with the PCIe connection here, the gold pins are facing downwards and the RTX logo is facing up. Lines up to this slot, the gold pins line up to that slot there. And it just drops into place. Until you hear it click. You may have to push down evenly, front and back, until you hear it click when you push it down. And then it's just the 2 screws here. Then we're gonna re-add, secure the card. And then last thing, you'll have a power cord sitting here after you unpackage it. And all you gotta do is plug the power cord, which is gonna be actually this white cord here, into the graphics card. So let's say it was just sitting here like that. When you receive it, and then we just plug it in. It can only be plugged in one way. Done. Now you're ready to fire it up. So that's all you got to do when you get the PC is install the card. All right. So in the meantime, get the bracket on there as well. I'm gonna go. Notching the bracket so I know where to put it. My other screw. Be one more screw here in this kit. Not. Looks great. Thank you. This build is brought to you in part by Brenden. Real Canadian Apex Legend player. Alright, so I was just putting this bracket in, this isn't something that you'll have to deal with. This will already be preset for you. I think I'm gonna have to go down one more hole. Dang it. That guy has got an Apex. Well, maybe he'll be a little better once you get the PC that allows him to perform. All right. Now we can mount this through the bracket. And all this does is it's just going to fight gravity, because over time graphic cards like to sag, and the sagging is bad for your PCIe slot and bad for your PCB on the card itself. Will eventually damage it to the point where it will not work, which is why it's important for heavier cards to have some sort of support on this end of the card. So this bracket, really nice. Because it's a little bit more discreet. You might have to loosen this screw right here. Actually, you might not be able to see it there. Let's zoom in on that. So there is a screw right there. You might have to loosen and tighten that when you install the card, but what we want is upward pressure on the card so that it's holding the weight of the card from going down. So right now I've got it pretty tight, and it clears the fan as well. That's another thing you want to make sure, is that it makes sure that that fan is able to spin, and then we should be good to go. Gotcha. Yeah, so it's easy peasy. And all it is a Phillips screwdriver. Just go down there, loosen it, tighten it, push it where you want it, and then tighten it up. So that's your support for your graphics card. It's going to help support the weight of the card so it doesn't sag. All right. One of the last things we got to do on this side of the PC, graphics card power cord. There's a PCIe 8-pin, and then we have cable combs for that. Nice, nice. Almost there. Almost there, guys. What are we at? An hour and 27 minutes. Damn. Do too much talking. We're almost there. What we've got left after this is the power supply, and then flipping it over and doing some cable management on the back side. Then we get to plug it in and fire it up and see what it looks like for the first time. And then we can see if Ben actually built a computer or not. Built it right, you know? Maybe it posts, maybe it doesn't. claim to be the best PC builder in the state of Michigan. Which, nobody's challenged me yet, so... Come at me, brah. Alright, there we go. Flip this around. We're gonna get the power supply installed. Quick. Yes? Building a computer. Alright, so the 850 watt MSI MPG power supply. This is a PCIe 5.0. Oh yeah, my case is Zellman. Oh no, it's a Zellman Z3, okay. I don't think that one has great airflow. I have to double check that case. Correctly. Doesn't have a mesh front to it. Is that the one with the acrylic plastic? G3 have the tempered glass. Yeah, the Zellman Z3, I'll have to look that one up. I don't think I've ever built into it, but I think I'm familiar with that one. I think I've seen it before. Building. Oops. Okay. Almost there. And I know this is a modular power supply, but we are not leaving some of the cables out. We're going to make sure everything's plugged in. I don't like cables going. Too many times have I had a customer call me and say, hey, where's my cables? Like, you mean the ones that were in the bag when you bought it? Yeah, I threw that out. Need those, didn't I? Now, don't you? Now I pretty much just put them all in case lost. Go. Power supply installed. Now some cable management. Then we fire this thing up. Okay. We have a power connection requirement here. Then what we're going to do is graphics card plugged in here. And zip tie these extra cables. How many PC build in a day typically? A couple a day typically. Depends. I don't do every single one live on stream anymore. I used to do them all live, but I just can't. So, not every single one is done live on stream anymore. Most of them are, but especially if there's somebody that's interested in it. But if it's like for, you know, it's a surprise build, then I'm not going to stream it. Unless they ask me to, of course. Of course I will. Alright. Gotta clean this up here. Clean this up. Alright, what do you think? That's some clean cable management, or could I have done better? I'm just going to tie this here so we try to get it as symmetrical as possible on the other side. There. I think we're done. Who's ready to see this fired up? Good, I'm glad you're happy with it. I'm happy that you are happy with it. I haven't even seen it fired up yet. Alright. Oh, I can feel this. Mirror finish there. Don't worry, I'm going to switch the camera view so you can see it before I power it on. Who's ready for me to push this power button? You ready? Are you ready to see it on? We ready to power it up? Look at the airflow. Blowing my curtain away. This thing's gonna run nice and cool. It looks fantastic. So excited. Hey, we got a post too. Look at this, guys. Look at that. Look at this. Look at this. I know you can't really see it, but look at that. Posted too, which means it's working. First try. Outside of the graphics card, we'll have to play with the graphics card support bracket because it was rubbing on that fan immediately when I powered on. It was a gravity pushed it down. I was worried about that. So, but yeah, look at that. We get a zoom out. You know, I don't have a turntable or anything special like that. Nice. Well, there you go, sir. And you do want Windows 11, right? You're not, like, you don't want specifically, like, Windows 10 or something? All right, so we're going to go with Windows 11. Okay, so, sir, the PC's built. Now we just got to do the software side, which is the Windows installation, the BIOS update, the setting the XMP profile after the BIOS update, and then doing some tweaking with some other configurations, and then going through and doing a battle tested phase after all the drivers and everything else is installed. And that includes graphics test, memory test, CPU test, and then obviously through all of those tests, we're confirming that the cooling is where it should be for the hardware that's in there. So, and then once that passes all those tests, it'll have a nice framed certificate that's going to be shipped with the PC, as well as the PC itself being shipped. So after all that, it'll be shipped. So we should have this hopefully out the door. If not tomorrow, then by Saturday it should be shipped and you should have your tracking info. UPS does pick up here on Fridays and Mondays. So if it doesn't make it out Friday, you'll have your tracking information on Saturday, but it won't actually start making progress until Monday. And UPS has to pick these up, these shipments, because of the insurance. That has to be picked up by a UPS driver, unfortunately. So, any other questions, man? Anything else you want done while we're here? You want it, let me guess, you want it black now. Now that you've seen it. You're like, let's go with black. Anyway, guys, I'm going to end the stream here. All good. Awesome. But I'm going to end the stream here for the night. Let me know if you have any questions. If not, I'll see you on the next one. I do have more streams coming tomorrow and probably Saturday as well. So if you enjoy this kind of stuff, make sure you tune in for the next one. Yeah, no problem, man. Brenden, it was my pleasure. I'll talk to you soon, okay? And you'll have your tracking info and an update on when it's done. Have a good rest of your Thursday, everybody, and I'll see you on the next stream.